Welcome to the DCTV News at Noon program. I'm Kelsey Kiesling.
And I'm Kendra Cook. Dolores County Broadcasting Network is the producer of DCTV, and the Southwest TV Translator Association underwrites the news show.
If you have a news topic or tips you'd like to see covered, give us a call. The studio number is 677-4119.
Today's show is live on Tuesday at noon and rebroadcast at 3 and 6 p.m. and again re-aired on Friday at noon, 3 and 6. Today is August 29th, 2017, and now the news at noon. From the Cortez Journal, a lightning-caused wildfire is burning east of Dove Creek and has grown to 60 acres since it was discovered on Saturday, fire officials report. The Secret Canyon fire is burning on Bureau of Land Management land in Pinyon Juniper Forest and is 0% contained, reports BLM fire specialist Chris Osborne. The fire is being actively suppressed because of nearby private property, power lines, and oil and gas facilities. 2 Type 2 hand crews, multiple federal fire engines, and a helicopter are battling the fire, which is burning in steep terrain. An estimated 90 firefighters are at the scene. The fire is moving around quite a bit, Osborne said. It was moving toward the south, so the helicopter was focusing on water drops there and slowed it down. The fire's location in remote and steep terrain is making it difficult to gain a perimeter line on the fire. On Monday, containment lines were being constructed by fire crews on the fire's western edge. So-called rollouts, burning vegetation that rolls down the canyon, have occurred and are spreading the fire. Currently, there are no area closures associated with the fire. No structures are immediately threatened. The fire is within 1.5 miles of unoccupied critical habitat of the Gunnison sage-grouse and is 6 miles from occupied critical habitat of the bird, which was recently listed as threatened under the Endangered Species Act. The BLM reported that the fire is not anticipated to threaten Gunnison sage-grouse habitat at this time. They are also trying to suppress this one due to the values at risk, Osborne said. From local reports, the location is past CR County Road 16. Depending on the winds, residual smoke has been felt in and around Dove Creek since Saturday night.
Reported by the Durango Herald, police are searching for a man suspected of stabbing 2 people early Monday at a homeless camp west of the Durango city limits. Hernando Tsosi, age 39, is suspected of stabbing 2 men shortly after 3 a.m. Monday at the homeless camp above Tech Center Drive, said Dan Bender, spokesman with the La Plata County Sheriff's Office. Both victims were taken to Mercy Regional Medical Center where they received stitches and were released, Bender said. One man was stabbed in the leg, and Bender was not immediately aware of where the other man was stabbed. Deputies are seeking a warrant for Tsosi, who is suspected of felony assault with a deadly weapon. Tsosi also is suspected of being involved in a domestic violence situation earlier that night. Tsosi pleaded guilty last month to invasion of privacy for sexual gratification, a felony for peeping into a women's bathroom stall while a 9-year-old girl used the bathroom earlier this year at the Durango Welcome Center. He's scheduled for sentencing on September 19th. If people encounter Tsosi, they should not approach him but call 911 to report his whereabouts and other relevant information, Bender said.
Reported by the Cortez Journal, during a lively back-and-forth discussion Monday, the Bureau of Land Management, Montezuma County Commission, and residents continued to hash out public access to land south of Summit Lake. Quick solutions have proved elusive, but options exist. The Tres Rios BLM office is considering putting a parking lot and trailhead where County Road N borders public lands for equestrian and pedestrian use. Although no trails are planned at this time, the area would be for non-motorized use and mountain biking would be discouraged. Area residents have been very vocal about the traffic impact that developed access would have on roads 35.6, 35.9, and N, narrow gravel roads that they pay to maintain. Recent news reports highlighting the situation have prompted increased traffic to the public lands. Neighbors have said that this is resulting in trespass issues. The access point, while visible on a map, is fenced and not marked on the ground, apparently causing confusion. The BLM said it is receiving 5 to 10 calls a week about access to the land, up from 2 to 3 calls. The key issue centers on who should pay for road improvements and maintenance to handle the increased traffic. The county is urging the BLM to help with the cost of improving about a mile of Road 35.6, the main access road. According to county officials, the BLM said it doesn't have the estimated $40,000 to $100,000 for road improvements and would need partners to help raise the funds. Area residents said governments need to help them with the cost of road upgrades. BLM staff said they understood neighbors' concerns and pointed out that living next to public lands has benefits and drawbacks. Approval for an official parking lot and trailhead will require a planning and public comment process, expected to take at least 6 months. It is part of a wider road and trail plan being developed across the three-county Tres Rios district, said BLM planner Keith Fox, but an expedited parking proposal might speed up the process. While planning continues, the BLM is considering installing a gate at an existing fence to allow limited non-motorized access. Responding to residents' concerns about ATV use, officials noted that power and pipeline companies still would have a right-of-way for maintenance. To get baseline information on use, the county is considering putting down a traffic counter on Road 35.6, and the BLM plans to install a trail counter to measure use as well. Commissioners Keenan Ertel and Larry Don Sukla urged that the parking lot planning and installation be fast-tracked and that the BLM work with the county on improving the road. The Homesteading Act, being applied in the 1920s and earlier, is what led to the land access issues, said Marietta Eaton, manager of the BLM's Canyons of the Ancients National Monument. Before it became BLM land, it was held under the General Land Office. To encourage settling in the area, much of that GLO land was offered to those who could prove they could make it productive farmland. But there was no water, and many homesteaders could not prove it up, Eaton said. It led to where we are today with these isolated sections of BLM.
According to the Durango Herald, the Archuleta County Sheriff's Office has released more information on the shooting last Wednesday, including the identities of those involved that left a 65-year-old Durango man dead. According to a news release, Gary Phipps was identified as the man who allegedly trespassed onto a property between Pagosa Springs and Bayfield on U.S. Highway 160 and was shot by a neighbor. Archuleta County Sheriff's Office Under Sheriff Tanya Hamilton said dispatch received a call from Pagosa Springs resident Don Nix, age 71, around 10:45 p.m., reporting that he had just shot an intruder on his neighbor's property. Archuleta County Sheriff's deputies arrived on scene and confirmed that Phipps was deceased. Deputies then closed a portion of U.S. Highway 160 to secure the scene until Colorado Bureau of Information arrived the next day. Nix told authorities he noticed someone with a flashlight walking around the entrance of his neighbor's property. Nix approached Phipps and the two had an unproductive conversation about Phipps's reason for being on the property, the news release said. Nix then told Phipps that the sheriff's office was on the way, and Phipps pulled out a knife and attacked Nix. Nix told authorities both men struggled and fell to the ground. Nix said he hit Phipps with a flashlight, hoping that he would release the knife. But when that was unsuccessful, Nix pulled out his gun and shot Phipps multiple times. A pronouncement of death was made at 9:25 a.m. Thursday. Archuleta County Coroner Dan Kuning found the official cause of death to be homicide due to multiple gunshot wounds to the chest. Hamilton said no arrests have been made. However, the case is still under investigation.
You've probably heard stories of the India farmers committing suicide in record numbers over the stress of economic failure. Has it reached the U.S.? Reported in the Durango Herald, here's the new pitch on the Colorado Department of Agriculture website for a new program aimed at helping farmers facing emotional crisis because of financial strains in their industry. The agricultural economic crisis is real. The resulting stress is real. Let's talk about it. Agricultural Commissioner Don Brown says the program, just now rolling out, will train staffers at the Colorado Crisis Center hotline specifically about farming and ranching so they can better counsel those who call. His department will also promote the hotline to farmers and ranchers statewide. Colorado's wheat and corn farmers in particular are struggling as global competition forces prices down below their production costs. Brown says he got the idea for the special hotline service after talking with troubled friends in Yuma, where his family has a farm. During a recent interview with Colorado Public Radio, Brown discussed the program. He was questioned why it became clear this program was needed. He replied, "Well, I think there are 2 or 3 things I'd like to talk about, and one of them is the fact that I started farming in the late 1970s, right before the ag crisis hit. So I've gone through this once personally as a young person, and I guess I recognized I saw the signs we're headed maybe in that direction again. And particularly this winter, we had several neighbors or acquaintances call us wanting to sell us their land because they were under a lot of pressure from the banks, and that told me that we're headed down a road that we don't like." He continued that the economic impact becomes emotionally and mentally stressful for a struggling farmer or rancher. He added that the farmers and ranchers have their own language of what's important to know in either given endeavor. He said, let's talk about Pioneer 1157 corn or the GDUs of so and so, he asked. Do you know what I'm talking about? Probably not. We talk about the weather, we talk about livestock, we talk about genetics, we have all sorts of terms and relationships, and particularly the bond to the land, which I think is difficult to understand unless one has truly experienced it. In essence, the hotline needs to know the lingo. So a hotline for help must be understanding of where a caller is coming from, and getting a farmer or rancher to recognize they need and can get assistance from calling is another huge hurdle. Brown said there's a great deal of independence and resilience. You have to be that way to stand there and watch a hailstorm wipe out a year's worth of work in 10 or 15 minutes. We experienced that on our own farm this summer. So given all of the challenges of farming and ranching, is there a potential for optimism for a future? Brown said we are and must be eternal optimists. We're seeing a growing population and consequently everybody needs to be fed. There will be ups and downs, we'll see a rebound. But it's difficult to realize too on occasion that if you're under financial pressure, it may not be your fault. There's weather, there's financial pressures across the world, there's interest rates, things that are beyond the farmer's control. The Colorado Crisis Service phone is 844-493-TALK. That's 844-493-8255. Or text TALK to 38255 to speak to a trained professional. On the Western Slope, there's just one walk-in office in Grand Junction at 515 28 3/4 Road. All call interaction provided offers confidential and immediate support.
According to the Cortez Journal, the number of drivers involved in fatal crashes in Colorado who tested positive for marijuana has more than doubled since 2013, federal and state data show. A Denver Post analysis of the data and coroner reports provides the most comprehensive look yet into whether roads in the state have become more dangerous since the drug's legalization. Increasingly potent levels of marijuana were found in positive testing drivers who died in crashes in Front Range counties, according to coroner data since 2013 compiled by the Denver Post. Nearly a dozen in 2016 had levels 5 times the amount allowed by law, and one was at 22 times the limit. Levels were not as elevated in earlier years. Last year, all of the drivers who survived and tested positive for marijuana use had the drug at levels that indicated use within a few hours of being tested, according to the Colorado Department of Transportation, which compiles information for the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration's Fatality Analysis Reporting System. The trend coincides with the legalization of recreational marijuana in Colorado that began with adult use in late 2012, followed by sales in 2014. However, Colorado transportation and public safety officials say the rising number of pot-related traffic fatalities cannot be definitively linked to legalized marijuana. Positive test results reflected in the NHTSA data do not indicate whether a driver was high at the time of the crash, since traces of marijuana use from weeks earlier also can appear as a positive result. But police, victims, families, and safety advocates say the numbers of drivers testing positive for marijuana use are rising too quickly to ignore and highlight the potential dangers of mixing pot with driving. And now here's our weather report.
Hello, Dove Creek and Dolores County. Weather patterns here will continue to deliver another warm day today. Some locations will approach record temperatures this afternoon. Today and tomorrow we'll see isolated mountain showers and thunderstorms. There is a trough approaching from the Pacific Northwest, scheduled to arrive late tomorrow afternoon, that will increase clouds and cool things down a bit. This will also give us some chance at showers and thunderstorms into Thursday and Thursday night. Conditions are such that any time from early Wednesday afternoon through Thursday night, activity is possible. Friday through the weekend, temperatures will climb again, and isolated scattered mountain showers in the afternoons will return to patterns like today. Our national forecast: Tropical Depression Harvey is expected to gradually move back to shore near Port Arthur, Texas by early Wednesday morning. Speed is expected to pick up and move the depression toward the Ozarks after that. but the immediate concern is for the southeast Texas area, southern Louisiana, and Mississippi, where there will be the threat of isolated tornadoes. Another tropical system, number 10, is working along the outer banks of North Carolina. It has potential to become a tropical cyclone later today. Heavy rainfall is expected in that area of North Carolina and the Delmarva Peninsula area, with some risk of flash flooding likely also. The good news is that it's supposed to track away from the shore. It will help cool the late August temps along the eastern seaboard to 10 to 15 degrees below the average. That will bring temps in the mid-Atlantic and lower New England area into the 60s today. Across the western states, well above normal temperatures are on tap today. A number of temperature records are likely to be broken, anywhere from California northward into the central Great Basin and interior Pacific Northwest. Highs will be 10 to 20 degrees above average. Current forecasts suggest 100 degrees plus readings extending out of the desert southwest into the interior central valleys of California. In our 5-day forecast for the 5-day summary, today's high is set to be 85, with the following 4 running in the middle to lower middle 80s as well. Lows will run in the mid-50s. Winds today and tonight will run 5 to 10 miles per hour, except for gusts, where those isolated mountain showers and thunderstorms occur, and a slight chance for some afternoon activity tomorrow and tomorrow night and Thursday afternoon as well. Now back to the news.
The Colorado Department of Education released the test scores on August 17th, according to the Cortez Journal. Montezuma-Cortez RE1 district students fell short of the state's average English SAT score of 513.4, coming in at an average of 490.5. Students taking the PSAT left a slightly larger margin in English with an average score of 442.7 compared with the state's average of 478. But students surpassed the Colorado benchmark for the English SAT, which helps to gauge whether students are ready for college. At its monthly meeting Tuesday night, Montezuma-Cortez RE1 District School Board discussed PSAT and SAT test results. It also released the benchmark scores for SAT performance, which help show if students are on track for college-level courses. For example, the math benchmark of 530 is the SAT math score associated with a 75% chance of a student earning a C grade in a first semester college-level class in algebra, statistics, pre-calculus, or calculus. The benchmark score of 480 for reading and writing is associated with a 75% chance of earning at least a C in first semester courses in history, literature, social science, or writing. Statewide, 61% of students were on pace to be college ready in English and 40% in math, according to the SAT results. At Montezuma-Cortez High School, 55% of RE1 students are college ready in English and 27% are college ready in math.
Last week's CO2 average is in at 404.48. Week before last was 405.14. 10 years ago was 382.11. In the pluses category, or the trade-offs that sometimes accompany certain features of global warming related to ocean-bound shipping, in the news from August the 25th, the Christophe de Margerie, a Russian supertanker named after a French oil magnate, CEO of the French oil corp Total SA, who passed away at 63 on the 20th of October 2014. The Daewoo-built supertanker was built to the order of Sovcomflot. Think Soviet commercial flotilla. Commissioned on March the 27th this year, the ship, which is 980 foot in length, which is very near the length of the USS Gerald Ford, the most recent modern aircraft carrier in our fleet. She is slimmer in the waist or beam, though, than our carrier by nearly 100 feet. But it is a bit heavier by nearly 30,000 tons. The cost of the Gerald Ford might build 100 Christophe de Margeries. She has a 45 megawatt power plant near the power of a nuclear icebreaker and is highly maneuverable, carrying 172,600 cubic meters of liquid natural gas. She has 3 of the latest twin counter-rotating propellers. The aftmost are swivel-mounted for rudderless maneuvering and greater fuel economy. She has a bow built for ice braking. She's now the first to travel from Hammerfest, Norway to Boryong, South Korea, by way of the Arctic Ocean, without the assistance of accompanying separate icebreakers, thinner ice from global warming. This trip was 30% faster than the route using the Suez Canal. She can do that route all year long, end to end, in 19 days each. With only 6 days through the ice, Christophe de Margerie has the highest ice class rating available. This year's ice cap has reached an all-time low, so less fuel used in transport to some regions is possible. What a trade-off.
Reported by the Cortez Journal, fewer people are moving out of Montezuma County's public housing apartments than in past years, according to the Housing Authority of Montezuma's latest occupancy report. The Housing Authority is a federally funded nonprofit that offers low-rent public housing to people with low incomes in Montezuma, Dolores, and La Plata counties. At the Housing Authority's monthly board meeting on Thursday, Executive Director Terry Wheeler said the number of move-outs this summer was much lower than usual. She also said the number of formerly homeless people moving into the apartments is steadily increasing. Wheeler presented the monthly vacancy and occupancy report for the Housing Authority's properties, which include Menifee Apartments, Hillside Apartments, Dolores Elderly Housing, Overlook Village, Prairie Mesa Estates, Brubaker Place Apartments, and Sleeping Ute Apartments, as well as individual low-rent properties around the county. As of August 17th, 33 new leases had been signed for the apartments in 2017, and 36 renters had moved out. But Wheeler said that's a big improvement over past years. She said it's normal for 50% of the occupied apartments at the beginning of the year to be vacant or have different renters by the end of the year. There are 239 housing units in the Housing Authority's Montezuma County properties, and as of August, only 3 were vacant. The organization puts about 45 to 48 applications on a waiting list every month. Wheeler said the decreased turnover allowed Housing Authority staff to perform maintenance on several properties that needed it. The Prairie Mesa Estates also got a new playground this summer to replace one that had been in need of repair for several years. Wheeler's fellow board members said they were pleased by the latest report. According to the report, 21 people who applied for a lease in the past month listed themselves as homeless on the application. Wheeler said that number has been rising steadily all year. The report lists 124 applicants in 2017 as homeless.
In local Dove Creek football news, the Cortez Journal reports heading into this season with a roster made up of 5 juniors, 5 sophomores, and 10 freshmen, Shane Boffman is not quite sure what to expect. Dove Creek's head football coach did say, however, that he does expect his team to remain competitive and win a few games. We're looking to win 2 or 3 games and be competitive in others, Boffman said. We've got a little talent here, so we'll see what happens. On the offensive side of the ball, the Bulldogs will be led by quarterback Ryan Martinez, who threw for 253 yards and rushed for 199 yards last season. Martinez also led last year's team with 5 total touchdowns. Other contributors on offense figure to be sophomore running back Cade Curtis and freshman running back Gage Bailey, who lack varsity experience but have looked good in practice thus far. On the offensive and defensive lines, junior J.D. Dennison will lead a group that Boffman believes will be a strong point for the Bulldogs thanks to the coaching of offensive line coach Steve Stiasny. While Boffman admitted that the team's offensive scheme may not be as complex as it has been in previous years, he said that coaches will implement increasingly complex plays over the course of the season. Dove Creek, which finished last season with a 1-8 record, will open this season on the road against Rangeley on Friday, September 1st, before playing its home opener against Plateau Valley on September 8th. The Bulldogs will face off against league rival Mancos on the road on October 21st.
And now for the Dolores County Sheriff's Roundup for the week of August 21st through the 27th. A San Miguel County resident reported a missing horse. It is a black-white paint mare with 3 white stockings. If you find this horse, please call the sheriff's office. A resident reported a light on in a local business. Dispatch contacted the responsible party and all was okay. Deputies responded to a county residence for a welfare check. Deputies talked to the parties at the residence and all was okay. Officers executed a search warrant for an illegal grow of marijuana in the county. Officers confiscated and destroyed the marijuana. Peyton Thomas Lowry from Dolores, Colorado, and Jolyn Daniel Blaisdell from Cortez, Colorado, were summoned for illegal cultivation. Additional charges may be added pending the results of the investigation. A deputy assisted Colorado State Patrol on a non-injury car deer vehicle accident. An officer investigated a report of child endangerment. The sheriff's office received a report of harassment by a local resident. The case is under investigation. A motorist reported several steers on Highway 491 near the senior center. A deputy responded to assist. The cattle eventually left the roadway and out of sight. A resident called a short time later to state that the animals were on their property and offered to close their fence to keep them in until the owner can respond. The owner was contacted and the steers were returned to their pasture. A town resident reported late-night partying with underage drinking at a nearby residence. While traveling to a call for service, an officer noticed a calf outside of a fence. The owner was notified. That concludes today's roundup. Stay tuned for more updates tomorrow.
Today's High Canyon Country happenings. Wednesday, August 30th, from 7 to 9 p.m., the Wild Edge Brewing Collective is proud to host New York-based singer-songwriter Dan Lavoie into the brewery. His style brings a fresh new sound to the table with influences of rock, blues, folk, classical, and funk jam messed together to create what many have called traveling music. Lavoie has made a name for himself touring heavily across the U.S., using the road as a centerpiece for his creativity and inspiration. He was included on the Hudson Valley's Best Concert list for Top 10 Best Concerts. Free admission to Wild Edge Brewing on North Market Street in Cortez. Thursday, August 31st from 4:30 to 5:30 p.m. in Monticello at the San Juan County Library, the Craft Club is hoping a squirt gun painting party. It's free for anyone 8 or older. This week they will be making squirt gun painted t-shirts. Friday, September 1st from 6 to 9 p.m. enjoy a night of Colorado's finest brews and music with Diabolical Sound Platoon at Mencke's Brewing Company for the first time ever. Colorado's greatest hip-hop band is coming to Mencke's and ready to bring the boom. The new location is 160 East Frontage Road in Mencke's. All of the happenings are posted on our Facebook page. That's DCTV News at noon. To share your event or information, send us an email. It's dcbnnews@gmail.com or call the station at 677-4119.
Thanks for tuning in. News at Noon airs live at noon Monday through Wednesday and then is rebroadcast at 3 and 6 p.m. and again re-aired Thursday, Friday, and Saturday in the same order at noon, 3, and 6.
And be sure to check out all the local news on Facebook. That's DCTV News at Noon. Please like us there and share it with a friend.
For Kendra Cook, Jerry Tope, and everyone at DCTV with the News at Noon program out of Dove Creek, USA, I'm Kelsey Kiesling. Thanks for watching.